Growing from the financiers of colonization in the earliest days of extrasolar travel to inseparable pillars of interstellar society, the rise of the so-called megacorporations was a development that many barely noticed. Was it the wealth of dozens of worlds that led to the creation of such dominant entities, or was expansion across the stars simply a side effect of their perpetual growth? Regardless of whether power begot wealth or wealth begot power, none could deny the influence of these modern merchant kings. On colonies across the frontier, entire populations were completely dependent upon a single conglomerate for their current livelihood and future prospects, for the food they ate and the air they breathed. These megacorporations operated without oversight, free to pursue their own agendas, to keep their own secrets, and none kept more than Weyland Yutani. While the company was officially founded in 2099, resulting from the largest corporate merger in history, the vision for what Weyland Yutani would one day become was affirmed in a dramatic fashion over 7 decades earlier. In a now legendary conference talk, Sir Peter Weyland of the eponymous Weyland Corporation promised to change the world. Although even at the time of this declaration, it could be argued he already had. Since its founding in 2012, the company had achieved extraordinary success with tremendous breakthroughs in renewable energy, climate change, cancer research, and weapons development. The limitless ambition of the Weyland Corporation matched that of its founder. For the remainder of the century, the company not only kept up with the rapidly accelerating pace of technological development, but seemed to set the standard by which progress was measured. Each year brought new discoveries and new acquisitions. Atmospheric processing, powered exoskeletons, aerospace craft and vehicles intended for use off-world, automated surgical stations, and cybernetic individuals completely indistinguishable from their human counterparts. It was this latter development that brought Weyland Corp into direct competition with the Yutani Corporation, whose own developments into synthetic life forms sparked a series of patent disputes between the two megacorporations. These would eventually be resolved in Weyland Corp's favor, paving the way for the hostile takeover of their competitor. Now fully in control of assets and capital that nearly rivaled those of the largest sovereign states, the newly rechristened Weyland Yutani quickly became the primary supplier of humanity's extrasolar colonization efforts. Atmospheric processing plants were the backbone of this endeavor. Immense, automated pieces of machinery that could convert an inhospitable atmosphere to one capable of supporting human colonization in just a few decades. Entire company towns would spring up around these structures, its citizens employed by Weyland Yutani to oversee day-to-day maintenance or provide amenities to the primary workforce. Such settlements were often referred to as shake-and-bake colonies due to their quick construction and nearly immediate self-sufficiency. While most worlds would eventually be turned over to various governments upon completion, others were intended purely to serve the needs of the company. These were mainly large-scale mining operations, but also included research outposts and even privately owned penal colonies. In addition to its predominant status in the civilian sector, Weyland Yutani was also heavily invested in the interstellar arms market. Despite its origins as a British and Japanese conglomerate, the company was one of the chief suppliers of the United States Colonial Marine Corps, as well as the other branches of the United Americas Allied Command. The company manufactured everything from the sidearms used by Marine Corps personnel to the massive starships that carried them into battle. The close relationship the company enjoyed with the military of the United Americas was one of Weyland Yutani's most controversial aspects. Critics at the time often argued that it was difficult to distinguish whether Weyland Yutani worked for the military or if it was the other way around. This view was supported by events such as the Campaign on Cristobal, in which the USCM was deployed ostensibly to remove the dictator Hetos from power, but was later revealed to have been the pretext by which the AmArc Corporation was allowed to secure the world's economic assets. While the United Americas Allied Command never operated so openly in favor of Weyland Yutani, the company's overwhelming involvement in the military-industrial complex when compared to rivals like AmArc meant that such a relationship almost certainly existed. At the very least, Weyland Yutani officials would routinely accompany any colonial marine forces fighting on company property, serving as local advisors. Weyland Yutani's position of power allowed it to operate in many legal gray areas, exploiting loopholes and ignoring local ordinances without fear of serious repercussions. It was common knowledge even within the company's lowest levels that the conglomerate was highly corrupt. Bribes frequently replaced paperwork, and many of their ships and facilities were never forced to undergo safety inspections or reviews. There even existed a special private security force, one equipped with military-grade hardware and tasked with the protection of the company's most sensitive assets. To what degree the United Americas and other major governments were complicit in this state of affairs has never been proven, but leaked information reveals that the company had a deep interest in pursuing top-secret research into dangerous or illegal fields, the applications of which would have dramatically upset the balance of power in favor of whichever group made use of them. These secret projects dated back to the era of the Weyland Corporation, apparently stemming from the directives of Peter Weyland himself. How such projects might have been involved in the disappearance of the USCSS Prometheus and USCSS Covenant in the earliest days of the colonization era has never been fully explained. But a pattern has emerged across the decades and centuries, one that had apparent ties to Weyland Yutani's bioweapons division. The Prometheus and Covenant were only the first in a long line of missing or destroyed ships, vessels, and colonies that would eventually include the Nostromo, Sevastopol, Sulaco, Hadley's Hope, and Fiorina 161, and many others. The nature of these incidents remain classified, but the evidence suggests that Weyland Yutani found something of great interest, or perhaps something found them. Who or what this might have been remains a mystery, but the greatest clue can be found in Special Order 937, a classified directive issued in the aftermath of the Prometheus expedition that was entrusted only to the highest levels of the company and issued specifically to synthetic crew members. Priority 1. Ensure return of organism for analysis. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable. The Templin Institute investigates alternate worlds and realities. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to directly support us, vote in polls to determine future topics, and receive some cool rewards, please consider pledging to our Patreon page.